Good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you once again. So today's topic is classification issues in GST, the importance of HSN and SAC code in details. So whenever the question of GST arises, the first question is what shall be the rate of tax that is applicable on a particular supply? What shall be the HSN code and HSN code of a particular supply of a particular good or service? To explain all these things in detail, so we are having today a learned speaker, CA Rajendra Kumar ji. He is a CCM and he is a chairman of Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI. Basically he is a Sachin Tendulkar of indirect taxation. A very warm welcome to you, Rajendra sir, for coming today on our study circle platform on Sunday morning, sir. A very warm welcome to you. And all the members are eagerly waiting to hear from you, sir, on our today's topic. Now I request CA Radhesham Faloj ji to kindly introduce the today's learned speaker and Rajendra sir. Over to you, Rajendra sir. Over to you, Radhesham ji.
Thank you, Deepak. आवाज आ रही है ना?
Yes, yes, sir.
It gives me immense pleasure to introduce today's speaker, CA Rajendra Kumar ji from Chennai. CA Rajendra Kumar is Central Council member and Chairman ESTN Indirect Taxes Committee of ICAI. He has more than 30 years of experience. He is on the board of reputed corporate in his individual capacity as well as government knowledge. He is thought leader, influencer, and reformist, and involved with multiple charities. Rajendra ji or RK as a short form, as is always popularly known, enjoys providing leadership, talking to the students and listening to intellectuals. In his personal capacity, he is on the internationally recognized expert on GST and VAT. He is only Asian on the technical advisory group of OECD, and his technical expertise in the area of consumption taxes to the standard setting body. RK has presented more than 1,000 papers in the area of VAT and GST in India and abroad. He loves to guide and interact with the students and offer solution on career guidance. मेरे ख्याल में ये चंद लाइनें इनकी जिंदगी को सही रूप में परिभाषित करती है। काम करो ऐसे की पहचान बन जाए, काम करो ऐसे की पहचान बन जाए, चलो ऐसे कि निशान बन जाए। अरे जिंदगी तो हर कोई अपनी तरह जी लेता है, अगर दम है तो जियो ऐसे की मिसाल बन जाए, जियो ऐसे की मिसाल बन जाए, जैसे राजेंद्र कुमार जी की मिसाल आपके सामने पेश है। नाउ ओवर टू सीए राजेंद्र कुमार।
Very esteemed Deepak ji, who invited me to this Andheri Oshiwara CPA Circle in Mumbai. Very esteemed and a senior member of the profession, Radhesham ji Faloj, who introduced me to all of you. Esteemed members of this CPE study circle, and to all of you who are watching this program live. Good morning. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jinendra, Jai Mahesh. It gives me immense pleasure to be in your midst. मुझे विश्वास है आप सभी मुंबई में, आप, आपकी फैमिली, आपके दोस्त, आपके मित्र, आपके ऑफिस के पार्टनर्स, आर्टिकल्स, स्टाफ, सब लोग इस कोरोना काल में कुशल रहेंगे। और I am also conveying my sincere wishes to those of our brothers and sisters who are suffering from corona. Esteemed friends, today we are discussing the topic of classification. And when someone calls me from Mumbai, I can never say no, because Mumbai is commercial capital of India. I come from down south Chennai, the capital of the state of Tamil Nadu in India. The entire turnover of southern India, is the turnover of Mumbai. The total membership of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in the southern region is lesser than the memberships in Mumbai, which means that you have done me an honor by calling me to speak in your midst on this topic. I have been born and brought up in Chennai, and my roots are in the state of Rajasthan, from where my ancestors, my grandfather, father came from. Having born and brought up in Chennai, having been here and having been spending my life here, it is a great honor that I am in the midst of my fellow brothers and sisters in Mumbai. Friends, when Deepak ji was introducing the topic, he was asking about, or rather he was telling us about the rate of GST. He was also telling about the HSN code, the Harmonized Systems Nomenclature Code. Friends, there are about 85 odd participants who have joined. There is a chat box also. We will have a dialogue today. I may ask you some questions and you will answer that also. That is what I expect, so that the talk is made interesting and lively. In somewhere in end of July 2017, in a WhatsApp group, one professional had asked a question. What is the rate of milk? This was the question. What is the rate of milk? This was the question. Can anyone answer this question, please, in the chat box? Let us see how we answer this question. If this question is put to you, what is the rate of GST on milk? We have our Deepak Madlecha ji answering it as nil. You can just put something, nil, 0, yes, exempted. Please answer. 1, 2, 3, only 4 of you have typed it. 87 participants. I at least expect 15, 20 people to. Yes. Chandresh Bhai Shah says nil, subject to brand name, it is 5. Okay. So nil, nil, nil. If loose, nil, and if in package brand, it is 5. Okay. Some Girish Maruji is answering this. Depending on branding. Suresh Hegde, I think he comes from Karnataka. Yes, friends. You know what was my answer? I did not answer in WhatsApp. I called the friend and asked, your question was, what is the rate of GST on milk? I asked him, what milk are you talking about? What milk are you talking about? He laughed up and said, don't joke, RK sir. I said, I'm not joking, I'm serious. Is it condensed milk? Is it flavored milk? Is it flavored milk with nuts? What it is? So friends, when a question is asked on a GST rate, it is not merely the rate that you're answering. Your answer will make or mar the client. Those days, there was 5%, 12% and 18% these 3 and 0, of course. These were the 4 rates on the commodity called milk. On the commodity called milk. If we would have told 0, and if it would have been a flavored milk, which would have been charged at 12%, flavored milk with nuts, flavored milk with nuts was charged at 18%. So friends, milk is of again various dimensions. You have various types of milk that is sold in the market. So you have to be extremely careful. What is it that charge that is expected on that particular commodity and the product? Classification is what is rate of GST. As we proceed in our talk today, I will take you through the step-by-step methods of classification. What are the rules of classification and why classification is a topic in the area as an area of practice is one of the most remunerative and one of the most challenging. Prior to GST era, majority of the classification disputes went and rested with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court finally answered them.
I think, sir, network issue is there, no, Deepak?
Some network issue. There is, yes.
Or
no, actually, sir, your video stopped, sir. Sir, there was some technical issue from your end, sir.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. Now fine?
Yes. Okay. Yes, sir. Now it is perfect.
So we were in that Vico Vajradanti advertisement. Vico turmeric, nahi cosmetic. Vico turmeric Ayurvedic cream. This advertisement, all of you would have heard. That yellow color tube which comes. At least many of us have used that also to enhance our complexion, to enhance our beauty, the way we look, isn't it? Now, that advertisement was inspired by the Supreme Court judgment of the Vico turmeric cream. Department said this is a cosmetic and chargeable at those days some 28% of excise duty. Whereas the company said this is not a cosmetic. This is an Ayurvedic cream which treats pimples, which keeps the face glowing, which keeps the face nice, which keeps the skin disease free on the face. Because this cream is prepared based on traditional ancient Ayurvedic formula. Supreme Court concurred with the company and said, yes, this is not a cosmetic. This is a cream which is, since it is based on an Ayurvedic ancient formula, it is not a cosmetic. And that is how very beautifully the advertisement, Vico turmeric, nahi cosmetic, Vico turmeric Ayurvedic cream. Look at the challenge. Look at the manner in which the argument should have been put forth. Similarly, I will give you one more example. Very, very simple it is. Pineapple. Pineapple. Pineapple is a fruit, isn't it? It is a fruit. Is it available 365 days? Can you tell me yes or no? And I will answer this question. We have got 101 participants. I am glad that 101 people from Mumbai are watching this particular program. Can you get pineapple all 365 days? Very good answers. No. Some of my friends are answering here. Professionals are answering no. But sir, pineapple can be available 365 days. Yes, Ajit Shah says canned pineapple. Canned pineapple. Sachin Verma says what pineapple? Wonderful. That's nice. The canned pineapple is available 365 days. The fruit is taken, it is cut, seeds are removed, and in a sugar solution it is put and it is sealed. That is canned pineapple. The matter went up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said this is also pineapple, hence there is no excise duty. This is not a new product that has emerged. So the concept of manufacture becomes paramount at that point of time. In GST also, after the lockdown are eased, normalcy is restored, departmental audits commence in full swing. The first thing the department will see is classification. Going ahead with our presentation. I hope the screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir. The screen is visible, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Classification in GST, that is the topic today. Look at this screen which I have put before you. On the left, you have some numbers. On the right, you have some numbers. And here in the center, you have certain words written. On the left, what you call it as the code numbers. Then you have description. Then you have the rate of GST, 14, 9, and 6, the CGST, SGST making it 28, 18, and 12. Which means for one particular commodity, which is based on certain sugars, lemonades, beverages containing milk, etc., you have got 3-4 different rates. If the client is going to make a difference, then it is going to cost the client because the rate of GST is on gross. It is on gross. Instead of charging 12%, if the client is going to charge 5%, then that 7% is a difference which will be charged on gross and collected. So this is the significance or importance of classification here. Services, the classification with respect to services. In the Indian context, services classification is not that much of importance or confusion as on date, because the rate of GST is 18% generally. Of course, there are 5%, there is a 5% rate, there is a 6% rate also. So our major discussion today will be limited to the classification of goods. And it will be, we will answer this question: what is classification? Why is classification required? Which section in the CGST Act empowers the government to classify goods and services? How to classify goods and services? Very, very important. Friends, what is classification? Classification is codifying the goods or finding the code of the commodity, and which that code will lead us to the rate of GST. Why is classification required? To know whether the product is taxable or not taxable. Which section empowers the government? Section 9. Section 9 of the CGST Act, which is the charging section, which says that the rate of GST can extend up to 20%. Currently, it is 14% CGST, and still government has 6% extra with them, which they can levy at any point of time, because that is what the Act empowers. 20% on goods or services. Now, this is the notification which gives the rate of GST. All of you may be aware, The Central Rate Notification number 1/2017 dated 28th June 2017. This is the notification which gave the rate of GST, and all of us, time immemorial, we have found that the rate of GST in the last 3-4 years have fluctuated. This particular notification contains the rate of GST, and what it further contains, let us see. Look at this. Notification 1/2017. Look at these 6 slabs, 6 clauses containing 2.5, 6, 9, 14, 1.5 and 0.125. 6 different rates of GST. In fact, in the beginning days of GST, I found many WhatsApp messages, many messages on Facebook, etc., saying that this country has one rate. Some 10 countries are saying, noted and says this country has this rate, this rate, this rate, this rate. All these countries have only one rate, and India is having 6 rates. My friends, those are all wrong informations that were circulated. In fact, according to me, at least 90% of the forwards and messages in WhatsApp are may not be correct. Majority of the world countries follow more than one rate. If there are countries who have only one rate, their size is only the size of a dot in the map of India. Their size is only a size of a dot in the map of India. So countries which are larger than India, countries whose states extend more than India, the states are more than India. The European Union, everyone has more than one rate, and hence we should be satisfied that it is always more than one rate of tax, which is a fair proposition. This is the notification, friends. Many of you would have read the notification, but have you read this in the notification? Look at the bracket. What is it? This is the end of the notification. What we do is, whenever we read a notification, we don't go up to the end. I, for that matter, even go to the end of the notification and see who has signed it. What is the name of the person who has signed the notification? If it is available, I would strongly recommend to you that whenever you are reading a notification, please go through till the end, till the last word. Doesn't matter, it may take time, but please read. Look at this notification, what it says. Look at that clause number 3 in the brown bracket which I have put here. Tariff item, subheading, heading, and chapter. From where is this picked up? Look at this. Serial number, after serial number, you can see chapter, heading, subheading, tariff item. So in the notification, they give some guidance on this. What is it? Tariff item, subheading, heading, and chapter shall mean respectively a tariff item, subheading, heading, and chapter as specified in the first schedule to the Customs Tariff Act 1975, Act number 51 of 1975. Sir, we are discussing GST, but see, something called Customs Tariff Act is now thrown before us. How many of you have the Customs Tariff Act manual with you in your office? You will ask me a question, sir, is it available in Google? I'll Google it and see. Is there any website? I don't think so. So I strongly recommend each and every one of you, once the lockdown is cleared, things come to normal, bookshops open, please place an order with your bookseller. Please give me one copy of the Customs Tariff Act, and it goes to about 1,000 pages. Friends, GST notification number 1/2070 says, look at the Customs Tariff Act 1975 for tariff item, subheading, heading, and chapter. Look at the next clause, clause number 4. The rules for interpretation. The rules for interpretation of the first schedule to the Customs Tariff Act 1975. So the rules for the interpretation of the first schedule to the Customs Tariff Act 1975, including the section and chapter notes. Look at this new words which are now coming: section and chapter notes, including, and the general explanatory notes of the first schedule shall, the word used is shall, so far as may be, apply to the interpretation of this notification. That's all. They have sealed. They have said that while interpreting this notification, you have to see the Customs Tariff Act. Now, this notification 1/2017 draws a reference to the Customs Tariff Act. The interpretation of the words used in the notification, in this notification 1/2017, the interpretation of the tariff items of this notification, we have to refer the Customs Tariff Act 1975. What generally we do, if someone is calling and asking, Deepak bhai, iska rate ka GST rate kya hai? Please wait 1 minute. Tuck, 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 we go to Google, put the name, and somewhere it connects us, we see, and then we tell, that's it, over. Please stop that from today, because you are all students of this classification today. I am also a student along with you. So we need to have, along with this notification, the Customs Tariff Act 1975 also with us. Okay. Yes. Next, the GST services rate contained in 11/2017. This is what is the services notification looks like. And what does this notification say? Look at clause 2, the arrow which I put there. Reference to chapter, section, heading, wherever they occur, unless the context otherwise requires, shall mean respectively as chapter, section, and heading in the annexed scheme of classification of services. Okay. This is the annexed scheme of classification of services. The respective chapters are there. Services code is there. All of you know that for those whose turnover is less than 5 crores, the 4-digit code has to be employed. And where it is more than 5 crores, the 6-digit code has to be employed. What is this code? What is the significance? We will see. First schedule to the Customs Tariff Act. Rather, schedules to the Customs Tariff Act. The first schedule was a reference in the notification 1/2017. There are 2 schedules in the Customs Tariff Act: the import tariff and the export tariff. Yes, there is a export tariff also. Tariff means rate. Import duty, export duty. There are about 49 items on which there is an export duty. What is important for us today is Schedule 1 of the Customs Tariff Act, because that is what is the reference given in the GST rate notification. First schedule to the Customs Tariff Act 1975. It contains 21 sections, 98 chapters, and 5 columns. Which contain the tariff item, description of goods, unit of measure, standard rate of duty, which is popularly known as basic customs duty, and rate of duty for preferential area, which means that certain countries will be declared as preferential area countries by the Government of India. And if any import happens from those countries, it is not the standard rate of duty that will apply. It will be the rate of duty for preferential area. Now, that rate of duty preferential area is not important for us. We are not going to discuss even the customs duty also. Our discussion will be restricted to the sections and the 98 chapters. Friends, each section contains a few chapters. Section 1 may contain 2-3 chapters. Section 3 may contain 4-5 chapters, and so on. So each section, 21 sections, contains 98 chapters. Chapter 7, number 77. is left blank for future use. What is the significance of these chapters and sections? From where do we derive this? We will see as we proceed today. Sections, as I told you, grouping of chapters containing particular class of goods. Chapters and subchapters, and headings and subheadings. This is the example of how a section looks like. Section 1, the title is what? Live animals, animal products. Section 2, title is vegetable products. Section 4, title is prepared foodstuffs and beverages. I am using the word title consciously. Section 6, product of the chemical or allied industries. In fact, I have not put all the 21 sections, no. I've just put few for your understanding. Section 12, section 17, and so on. Now let us look at chapters. I said section 4, prepared foodstuffs and beverages. This is the title of that section. Look at this. I told you that sections contain certain chapters, isn't it? Certain chapters. Section 4 contains chapter 16, chapter 17, chapter 18. Chapter 16 deals with what? Preparations of fish, meat, etc. The title. Chapter 17, the title is sugar and sugar confectionery. Chapter 18, cocoa and cocoa preparation. I will stop for a moment here for 2 minutes. If you have any questions, please post it on the question chat box. Till now. Any questions, friends? Are you able to follow? Am I very fast? Am I very slow? Am I putting you to sleep? Schedule is fixed,
Sir,
or it
everything is
can be
perfect, sir.
modified. Schedule is fixed, sir. You and I cannot modify it. It is the government of India who has to modify. It is the Customs Tariff Act. What is this? We will see as we proceed. Girish Maruji, you are asking this question. Thank you very much. Is my speed okay with you? Am I not rushing very fast?
Sir, absolutely perfect, sir. Absolutely perfect.
Thank you. If item description is similar, then which rate prevails? My dear Jignesh ji, please wait. There are rules. I will deal with that. If item description is similar, then which rate prevails? Please wait. One by one, step by step, we will go. Thank you. Since it's Customs Act, government will modify or council? Council can never modify anything. Council can only recommend for modification. The Customs Tariff Act, the council has got no role to play. It is only the central government. But then there is something more international connect to that. We will see what it is. Puneet Gupta ji. So we proceed with our presentation for the day. So we were here, didn't it? Chapters, chapter 16, 17, and 18. Each chapter contains headings and subheadings. Heading 1701. Again, look at the title, cane or beet sugar and so on. Heading 170. This is 4-digit code. This is what is called as HSN 4-digit code, means heading. When it is more than 4-digit, that means subheading. So 170101, it is a subheading. More specific it becomes. Look at this. Each chapter is further divided into headings and subheadings. And this is what we are talking about. Heading 1701, 1702, 1703, and so on. This first two numericals in a heading will always denote a chapter. 8409, you take it. It is chapter 84. 2302, it is chapter 23. Every numerical, the first two numericals in a heading will always denote a particular chapter only in the codification scheme, friends. When you open the Customs Tariff Act, chapter 17, sugars and sugar confectionery, look at this. In every chapter, my friends, you will have to read, as I said, read from the beginning. Every chapter will say what it covers, what it does not cover. The title of the chapter is Sugars and Sugar Confectionery. But these notes and subheading notes that you see here are very important. These explain what is contained, what is included, what is not included in that chapter. What this chapter 17 notes say, we normally call it as the chapter notes. Chapter notes. This chapter does not cover sugar confectionery containing cocoa. Look at this chapter 18, cocoa and cocoa preparations. So chapter 17 clearly says this chapter does not cover sugar confectionery containing cocoa. Even though this chapter title is sugar confectionery, it is very clearly mentioned here that this will not cover sugar confectionery containing cocoa. All those chocolates which are cocoa based, cocoa laced, they will not be coming under chapter 17. This chapter also does not cover chemically pure sugars. This chapter also does not cover medicaments or other products of chapter 30. If something is a medicine, something is a medicine. I am going to ask you two questions here. Two questions. Just stop because I'm not able to see the chat box when I am sharing the screen. I'm going to ask you two questions, friends. Halls. Halls. Something which we pop into our mouth so that we have a soothing effect here. Halls. Is it A, a medicament, or B, a sugar confectionery? You can answer A or B. Halls is a medicament A, or medicament or sugar confectionery B. You can answer. B, A, B, A. You can answer. Please participate. I promote you to participate, please. So B, A, B, B, A, A. Okay, one more question. One more question. Yes, we'll stop with Halls here now. One more question. There are about 118 participants. Some 10 of you have answered. Sachin Vermaji, you don't ask me question. You are a student for me now. You have to answer the question. A or B, I gave you two answers. So you have to say A or B. Don't ask ingredients. Halls, that's all. You know what is Halls, okay? Anyhow, doesn't matter. Thank you very much. See, now, one more question. Swad, S-W-A-D, that Swad, you remember Swad? Is Swad a medicament or is it a sugar confectionery? Answer that A or B. Swad. Is Swad a medicament or sugar confectionery? Very good. I'm very glad that many of you are participating. Many of you are with me in this session. Yes. So we have got two different answers. Thank you, friends. Thank you. We have got now two different answers. In fact, these two products were a decision of the Supreme Court. Were a decision of the Supreme Court. In fact, Supreme Court answered these questions. Supreme Court said, Halls is a sugar confectionery. Supreme Court said, Swad is also a sugar confectionery. Both are not medicaments. If something is a medicament, then a medical practitioner should prescribe it. That is what Supreme Court said. So unless until will a doctor give a prescription saying that okay गले में खराश है ना चलो जाओ हॉल्स ले लो ये लो मेडिकल प्रिस्क्रिप्शन पेट में प्रॉब्लम है ये लो स्वाद की टैबलेट खा लो no doctor gives that prescription isn't it so Supreme Court said they are not medicaments they are sugar confectionaries that is the decision of the Supreme Court. So friends, when you look into the classification, you must also rely on various Supreme Court decisions on classification. In fact, today many softwares are available where the decision of the Supreme Court in respect to classification are there, isn't it? So you have to look into that. Now, continuing our discussion on the slide where we left today. This is see this. Then subheading notes. Subheading, as I said, more than 4 digits. More than 4 digits, it is a subheading. A subheading within the heading only. 1701 means it is within that particular heading only. You cannot go to 1702 for a subheading of 1701. Okay. As you proceed, we will see that. Now, friends, I told you that there is something international to the Customs Tariff Act. Can Government of India amend it as and when they like it? Can there be frequent amendments? Friends, it cannot be because the Customs Tariff Act follows an international rule, international nomenclature. World Customs Organization. What is their role in classification? Friends, where is this? Don't Google. Please don't go to the Google and see this question. Where is World Customs Organization located? Where is the headquarters? Can you please answer? Sir, we have time up to 12:30. No, Deepak ji? Deepak ji?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, sir.
thank you. So, friends, yeah, we will certainly do justice to what we are doing today. Where is World Customs Organization, friends? Don't go to Google. UN, Brazil, Belgium, Geneva, Mumbai. Sandesh bhai, Mumbai is council, great. WTO, Switzerland. Wonderful. Friends, the World Customs Organization is situated in Brussels, the capital of Belgium. Sagar Jain got it right. Of course, he got the right, the country. It is in Brussels in Belgium. World Customs Organization. The World Customs Organization is the headquarters of World Customs. All the World Customs headquarters is in Brussels, Belgium. And what do they do with classification? In fact, the former CBIC chairman is one of the board members of the World Customs Organization today. He won the election 2 years back. I had an opportunity to visit the World Customs Organization once, and I will tell you how and why as you proceed in this slide now. What is the role of World Customs Organization in classification? Friends, the entire HSN, the classification codes that you call, is the work of the World Customs Organization, which means even the government of India cannot change the code number. No country in the world can change the code number of a product. No country can change it. It is fixed and it is given by the World Customs Organization. For the purposes of uniformity across the World Customs Organization has published various explanatory notes in the last 3 decades. The HSN that you call is contained in the explanatory notes. There are 5 volumes published by the World Customs Organization. Sir, can I go and get these volumes and see it in internet? In World Customs Organization's website? Yes, you can, but you have to make a payment. and it will cost you somewhere close to 2.5 to 3 lakh of rupees. This is the literature of the World Customs Organization, and it comes in about 5 volumes, and it extends to about 5,000 pages. 5,000 pages, I can say. Each chapter is in detail discussed, in detail documented. If you take the chapter called milk, it runs to about 10 to 20 to 30 pages. You will be surprised to note that milk has got so much form and usage, etc. These World Customs Organizations, HSN, they are not legal because they are internationally propounded. Each country adopts it and then makes it legal. So we have adopted this entire HSN for the purposes of the Customs Tariff Act 1975, and hence it becomes legal for us. So in the same manner in which it is there, we have adopted it here. Of course, we have adopted it to the extent it can suit us, and not the entire 5,000 odd pages, because there are numerous explanations given. Friends, these 5 volumes, if you want, you can purchase. And if anyone wants to make a serious expertise, get into a serious practice of classification of commodities and goods, you must have this 5 volumes of WCO in your office. Don't worry. The most remunerative area of practice is classification, and you can easily maybe earn money from what you have spent from your client, maybe 2 or 3 clients, that's all. Because that is the kind of remuneration you can be paid when you deal with classification issues. In fact, the World Customs Organization continuously discusses. They have a harmonized systems committee. This committee, the 67th meeting of the committee was held from April 20 to April 30. This HSN is actually amended every 5 years. Every 5 years, once the HSN is amended. Last, it was amended in 2017. The next amendment will be coming in force from 1st January 2022. And for that amendment, the meeting was held from April 20 to April 30th. Of course, this time it was an online meeting. You can ask me, sir, is it open to all? No, it is not open to all. In all these 30 years of HSN, only once an open public debate and discussion was held by the World Customs Organization on HSN. That was 2 years back. And I, as a member of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, got an opportunity, got an invitation. It was strictly by invitation to attend this meeting. And being a Central Council member and handling the GST and Indirect Taxes Committee, I was nominated to attend this meeting. Of course, I am there in the OECD in my personal capacity since the year 2013 onwards. Friends, the World Customs Organization, as I said, will publish the 7th edition from January 1, 2022, will be applicable on that date. So having known this, that our entire customs tariff is based on HSN, we proceed with our discussion. Now, whether HSN is simple, what is this? All of you can see, this is a mobile phone, isn't it? Why we call it a mobile phone? Because we answer the call and we call also some person, but it contains what? It can take photographs. We can use it as a video camera. We can use it as a personal computer in hand. We can use it as a scanning machine, and so many other uses are there to this, isn't it? We can record voice. It can be a loudspeaker also. So is it simple? Why do we call it then a mobile phone when it has got multi-purpose usage? You will see, think about parts and accessories, sets and kits, new products that come daily in the market, product consisting of mixed materials, multi-purpose goods, and combinations of machines. So with all these things in the market, the HSN becomes complicated. One question was asked in the beginning. One friend asked us, sir, if two are similar, which I have to choose? It is these kind of products which come in the market create a confusion, isn't it? Proceeding this, let us see. When you, as I told you, you should also look into the Supreme Court cases, High Court cases, tribunal cases when it comes to classification, because a product can be classified depending on the ingredient, depending on the use, depending on the relevance of name in the market, the scientific understanding of the product, the domain understanding, or the user means the consumer understanding. So with all these things, classification becomes a nebulous concept. Classification becomes something extremely important and confusing at times. What are the tools of classification? The 6 rules of interpretation. This is what the GST notification 1/2017 told us. The rules of interpretation of the Customs Tariff Act shall apply to this notification also. There are 6 rules of interpretation, friends. And each rule has to be applied step by step. If rule 1 is not applicable, then rule 2. If rule 2 is not applicable, then rule 3. You should not jump from one rule to another rule just like that. No. And section notes and chapter notes. Remember, section notes and chapter notes, not the titles, the notes. And then, of course, the classification of the HSN as propounded by the World Customs Organization are the tools for classification of goods. Now, for the Indian understanding, if you don't have the WCO also, no problem. These 2, the section notes and chapter notes and 6 rules of interpretation, as we are going to explain today, as we are going to see today, you will know what I'm trying to tell you. Understanding the rules. Important. These are Customs Tariff Act rules made applicable to the GST notification 1/2017. Remember this, which means that you must have in your library the Customs Tariff Act also. What is rule number 1? General rules of interpretation. I have not written it. You have not written it. It is written by the Government of India. What is shown in the yellow color is sacrosanct. You and I cannot change it. You and I have to read it to understand it. Don't jump here and there. Just read one word by the titles of sections, chapters and subchapters. Titles. Look at what is the title now. I'll show it to you. This is title of section, live animals and animal products. This is title of chapters, sugar and sugar confectionery. Okay. The titles of sections, chapters and subchapters are provided for ease of reference only. Very good. Which means what? We cannot go by the title of the section or chapter. It is only for ease of reference. For legal purposes, classification can be determined according to the terms of the headings and any relative section or chapter note. What is this? Let us see this now. Title for reference only. Sugar and sugar sugars and sugar confectionery. It is only for reference. It has got no legal binding. You cannot go and say a cocoa-based chocolate. No, sir, it contains sugar. It will come here only. No, because what the rule 1 says, title is only for reference. It is the chapter note which is legal. What does chapter note say? This chapter does not cover sugar confectionery containing cocoa. So it is chapter note which is important and not the title. This is what the rule 1 says. Okay. So you read that rule, you see the chapter note, you see the relevant heading, and if it is clear that the product will come in this only, that's it. You need not proceed anywhere. And notes of one chapter cannot be applied to another chapter. Remember, it is restricted to that chapter only. Notes of one section cannot be applied to another section. It is restricted to that section only. Section notes. Section may contain some notes. Chapter will contain notes. What is this? All of you know what is this. We popularly call it as Hawaii chappal, isn't it? Rubber slippers. There are 2 chapters. Rubber and articles thereof. Chapter 40. Chapter 64, footwear. If a client comes to you and says, please tell me the GST rate of this, you will have to do this study. Look at this chapter 40. If you go to rubber and articles, and if you go to chapter 40, what does chapter 40, the chapter note say? The chapter note says, look at this clause B. This chapter does not cover footwear or parts thereof of chapter 64. So more specific, it is footwear. Even though it is fully made of rubber, even though you can call it as rubber and article, it is a footwear. And if at all you are going to rubber and articles chapter, you will find that it is footwear or parts thereof of chapter 64 is not included in this particular chapter. Sir, what is this? I would like an answer. What is this? Just you saw. What is that you saw? Can you see that, sir? Toy, scooter, no, oh, you didn't see. Tricycle, toy, toy cycle, toy, plastic toy for kids, tricycle, toy, tricycle, toy. Okay, wonderful. Let us go back to our presentation and see what we have in store for you. There are two chapters, chapter 87, chapter 95. 87 deals with vehicles, 95 deals with toys. What is this? We'll see now. Look at this chapter 87. It is a vehicle. Yes, it is a vehicle. Someone is riding it. It moves on tires. But what does chapter 87 say? Look at the note number 4, chapter note number 4. Heading 8712 includes all children's bicycles. All children's bicycles, isn't it? Other children's cycles fall in heading 9503. This is not a bicycle. As many of you rightly said, this is a tricycle. It is a toy, and hence it will fall under chapter 95. So this is the example that the titles are only for reference. They have got no legal force. This is a chapter note which has a legal force. 2, rule 2 now. 2A and 2B. There are two rules in 2. In fact, those of you who qualified the CA examinations after from 1996 November. 1996 November was the first attempt for those who wrote indirect tax 100 marks paper. Central Excise and Customs. You would have certainly read this. I qualified in 1995 May, and I never had an opportunity to read even one word of indirect taxes. But I'm practicing indirect taxes for now 24 years. Only indirect taxes. No income tax, no company law, nothing else. And I owe all this to my articleship days. The training that I got from my bosses. Majority of our time we used to spend in factory auditing the books of excise, the production records, etc. And that's how I'm proud to say that my articleship training is what is feeding me today. Rule 2A, friends. What does it say? Any reference in a heading to an article shall be taken to include a reference to that article incomplete or unfinished, provided the incomplete or unfinished article has the essential character of a complete or finished article. Now, what does this rule say? The rule says that if an article is not complete, if an article is not finished, but if that incomplete or unfinished article has all the essential characters of a finished article, then the classification will be to that finished article only. That finished article only. I will explain to you by an example. Look at this. These are wax crayons. Children's wax crayons. Now, in the manufacture of these wax crayons, this crayon to be manufactured, it has to be peeled, it has to be sliced, it has to be cut. Okay, peeled, sliced, and cut, and you get these byproducts. Okay, that is the cut and peeled and all those things, certain products, the wastage is got. What is that? We'll see. This company was manufacturing plastic crayons which were falling under Chapter 96, chargeable to nil rate of duty. This is the catch here. Chargeable to nil rate of duty. In fact, friends, during the manufacture of this, an in-process product known as Cray-Plast shapeless plastic crayon was generated when you're cutting and peeling. Now, that product, whether it is 96 or 32, what does the rule say? Incomplete or unfinished article. If something is incomplete, something is unfinished, if it has got the essential character of the complete or finished article, this is what Rule 2A says, isn't it? This is the example. So this Camlin, which was manufacturing these crayons under 96, falling under 96, department said the in-process product known as Cray-Plast shapeless plastic crayon will fall under 32 and not 96. And 32, there was a rate of duty which was more than nil. What does the tribunal say? The tribunal said it is under 96 because those shapeless crayons, those cut, peeled, the sliced crayons were all containing the essential characteristic of a crayon. It only needed to be again bounded to each other, mixed with each other, and give it a shape. That's all, nothing more than that. So hence, the clearance, the sale of that was also nil, and it will, because it comes under 96 and not 32. This is Rule 2A. This is another example of a Rule 2A. Look at on your left. You have certain wood, plywood. On the right, there is a cupboard, isn't it? Today, there are companies which sell furniture like what you see in the left and not what you see in the right. If you want a cupboard, you go to a shop, you tell I want a cupboard, they will give you 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 pieces of wood and plywood. They'll give you screws, nuts and bolts. They'll also give you a manual, say please use this. You bring all these home, you keep it in your room, look at the manual, read it, and you assembled it. So this is what Rule 2A says, that where a product is not assembled, but contains all the characteristic of an assembled article, it will still be considered as a finished product only. So on the left, when this wood is given, screws are given, nuts and bolts are given, the manual is given, it is nothing but the complete article which is given to you, furniture, cupboard. But the same cannot be told about this product. Look at this. On the right is an automobile, a car. Can you call this particular product which is on your left a car, automobile? No, because it does not contain the characteristics of a finished article. It is only a shape, it is only a body which is there, and it does not contain all the essential characteristic of a finished article. 2B, reference to mixtures, combinations, and substances. Friends, there is a product and it contains numerous mixtures, numerous types of additions are there. Then what is that product? This mobile phone that I told you, this is the example for Rule 2B. It contains so many things. It contains so many things attached to it. It can receive, it can call, it can record, it can shoot, it can scan, it can receive email, send email, it can record voices, it can reproduce voices. So many things this can do. This is Rule 2B. Any reference in a heading to a material or substance shall be taken to include a reference to mixtures or combinations of that material or substance with other material or substances. Now, one more example I'll give you here. What it tries to say. When you go to a sweet shop, and you look at the savories, the mixtures, don't you find various kinds of mixtures? Isn't it? So many mixtures are there, isn't it? Dal mot, dry fruit mixture, badam lacha. Okay. Now these are all ultimately what? Ultimately, these are mixtures. These are savories. These are the savories, or what you call it, farsan also, when you say in Gujarati. Okay. So this is the example of rule 2b, but more clear example also I can give you is this. Coffee, when it's mixed with chicory, chicory is mixed with coffee. Will you call it chicory or will you call it coffee? It is coffee because the chicory mixes in the coffee and it is still a coffee. You don't call it chicory. Natural rubber can never be used. It does not have that particular inherent strength. You should mix it synthetic rubber, isn't it? When you mix with synthetic rubber, it is still rubber. It does not lose its characteristic. Articles of gold. Articles of gold will include articles which is made partly of gold. That is what is the rule 2b. Coming to rule 3a. Look at this. More specific description. Where you are not able to classify a product using rule 1, using rule 2a, it does not fall in 2b. You come to 3a. 3a says when there are 2 or more headings, when a product can be classified under 2 or more headings, the heading which gives most specific description shall be preferred. That is what 3a says. Engine parts made of steel. Engine parts made of steel should be classified under 84 or 73. Parts suitable for use solely or principally with the engines of chapter so and so or other cast articles of iron or steel. Should it be 84 or should it be 73 as per rule 3a? Because what rule 3a says, the heading which provides the most specific description. So answer this question for me. Should it be 84 or should it be 73? Sir, 84 or 73? 84. Jignesh Bhai says 84. 84. Sachin Verma ji says 84. Deepak Madlecha ji, our convener, honorable convener sir, says 84. 84, 84. All of you have got it right, which means we are on the right track. Which means that we are on the right track. All of you have got it right. Engine parts, because this is more specific, classify under 8409, it is more specific. Electric shaving machine, classifiable under 8510, shavers and hair clippers, or 8509, electromechanical domestic appliances with self-contained electric motor. All of you very easily say this is 8510 only. Plastic name plate for motor vehicle is to be classified as what? As accessory of motor vehicle and not other articles of plastic, because it is specific, isn't it? It's an accessory of a motor vehicle. The name plate, then the numbers that you write there, okay? Rule 3b. Next, when goods are put up in for retail sale, that is when a particular product, a commodity can be sold in retail, the material or component which gives them their essential character. Of course, when you cannot classify with 1, 2, 3a, up to 3a, you go to 3b. I'll give you an example. What is this? Multimedia speakers with additional facilities such as USB, SD card and FM radio. How will you classify? 8518 loudspeakers, whether or not mounted in their enclosures, headphones, earphones, whether or not combined with a microphone, and sets consisting of a microphone and one or more loudspeakers, audio frequency electric amplifiers, electric sound amplifiers, and so on, or 8519 sound recording or reproducing apparatus. Is it 8518 single chapter 85, but two different headings, 8518 and 8519? Where will you take this? Are these loudspeakers, or it can be treated as sound recording or reproducing apparatus? So 18 or 19? Let's see. 8518 or 8519? 8518, 8519, 8518, 8519, 1819, 1819. Remember, if there is a rate difference, if 8518 is say 5%, 8519 is 12%, then your answer will either kill the client or give the client a new lease of life. So two answers are coming, 8518, 8519. Okay, let us see what the tribunal said here. The tribunal held that the impugned goods are speakers with added function, and the main role of the item in question remains amplifying the sound received from outside source or inbuilt feature. The tribunal held that the product should be classified as speakers only, which is 8518 and not 8519, because that is what is rule 3B. Rule 3B says goods put up in sets for retail sale which cannot be classified by reference to clause A shall be classified as if they consisted of the material or component which gives them their essential character. Essential character. Why do you bring home this? You bring home this only to listen. Okay, these are loud speakers and not sound recording or reproducing apparatus. What is this? Nice, beautiful bag. You see small one. You see a comb. You see a scissor. You see a hair clipper. And all these are classifiable under various different headings. Mixtures. Components are mixed. Put up in one small pouch for retail sale. Hair dressing kit made of electrical hair clippers under 85. Comb 96. Scissors 82, brush 96, put up in a leather case 42. It is the clippers which have essential character, so the whole kit would be classified under 8510. What is this? Is it a toy? Is it a toy or is it a keychain? Please answer. I think we are on the right track this morning. We are on the right track this morning. This is nothing but a keychain, even though it can be used by, it is meant to be used for kids. This is nothing but a keychain. Nice. Next, Rule 3C. When goods cannot be classified by reference to A or B, they shall be classified under the heading which occurs last in the numerical order. among those which equally merit consideration. Very simple this is. You see the rule, you see the classification code. If everything seems fine, you can classify it in any head, then last in the numerical order to classify there. That is what the rule says. Later the better rule, this is Mahindra and Mahindra's case with respect to a product that we're manufacturing. It appeared that it will come under both. The tribunal said put it under 8704 as it occurs last in the tariff. Rule 4, most akin rule. Most akin means what? Similar, same usage, whatever it may be. See, in down south, in the state of Kerala, the God's own country, it is famous for a particular type of food which is kheer. We all call it as kheer. But in Kerala, the kheer is made from various ingredients and it is of various types. Normally in kheer, what we do in our type of kheer or in the North Indian style of kheer, it is milk, rice is added, or sabudana is added, or the vermicelli is added. This is 3 types of kheer normally we make. But in Kerala, there are different varieties. And one such variety is Ada Pradaman. That is what is called Ada Pradaman. Now this Ada is basically nothing but a product which is made of rice, maida flour mixed, and there is a dye. And from the dye, small pieces are basically got. You can either use vermicelli also, and you can use Ada also. But for Ada Pradaman, they use Ada and not vermicelli. If you look at the GST notification, there is nothing called as Ada specified there. It is only vermicelli, which means that equally meriting, that is what akin rule. Akin, not equally meriting, sorry, akin rule. It is more or less the same. Instead of vermicelli, Ada is used. So it is akin rule which comes here in play, and HSN code 1902 has to be used and not the residual entry of 18%. It will be 5%. Because instead of vermicelli, instead of sabudana, instead of rice, you use Ada. Ultimately, it is the kheer, or what we call in South Indian language as payasam or payasa. Rule 5. Sir, you have purchased a guitar, you have purchased a camera. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but majority of you would have certainly purchased or funded a purchase of a jewelry, that too necklace for your wife, for your mother, for your sister, and not for others whom I would say here. Okay, friends? Now, when you buy this jewelry, the necklace, okay, a beautiful necklace case is also given, isn't it? One box. And the necklace is nicely kept in the box and handed it over to you, so that it looks like a beautiful shape. When you buy a guitar, you know, there's a nice beautiful guitar box which it comes with. The guitar is put in the box and given it to you. Okay, that is not going to in the exam. These are the examples I'm giving it to you. But what does Rule 5 say? Rule 5 says camera case is specific. It's specific. Camera cases, musical instrument cases, gun cases, drawing instrument cases. You will find engineering students carrying long type of scales and so on and so forth, put in a big box. Necklace cases, similar containers which are specially shaped or fitted to contain the specific article, suitable for long-term use, and presented with the article. This is important. And presented with the article shall be classified with such articles when of a kind normally sold with. You go to a guitar shop, okay? You tell the musical instrument shop, please give me a guitar. They give you a guitar. They say, sir, you want it with a box or you want it without box? You ask, without box, how much? Sir, 25,000. With box, how much, sir? 30,000. Okay, I want with box. So an invoice will be given to you, guitar with box, 30,000. GST will be for 30,000, which means that the box loses its identity when it is sold along with the main product. The box identity is identity of the guitar and not otherwise. But where the manufacturer of that box is making that box and then selling it to the musical shop, he is not selling a guitar. Why? Because the rule says presented along with the article. The article also should be there. You go to a jewelry shop. Of course, they don't build separately, but it is all, the rate is already inbuilt into the main product. That is what this rule try to say, esteemed friends. Rule 6, finally. 6 rules I told you, finally. What rule 6 says is, the subheadings of a particular heading cannot be compared with the heading of another heading. 170101, if it has got 4 subheadings, you cannot compare it with the heading of 1702. This is what this rule clearly lays down. Says don't compare, don't jump. You be only in, if you are in 1701, you can work only within 1701. If 1701 is not applicable, and then only you go to 1702. Don't mix up things. Don't say 1702 it is stated like this, 1701 it is stated like this, and hence because it is stated in 1702 like this, I will not go to 1701. In fact, these things, even though it will sound theoretical to you, unless until you get a practical hands-on experience on this, it will be difficult sometimes to understand also. But nevertheless, we'll try with an example. Friends, having gone through rule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, many a times, these principles come to our rescue when we classify goods. Classification principles evolved by courts are based on trade parlance, common understanding, end use, functional test, importance of an expert opinion, and so on. Look at this product. What is this? We all know this is ice cream. This is ice cream. All of us love it. Even today we eat it, but children will just simply go flat. This company which was making this product, selling this product, and said this is not ice cream. Because as per the Food Adulteration Act, if something is to be called as an ice cream, it should contain 8% milk. Whereas this particular product contained only 5% milk. So the company said, no, look at the Adulteration Act. It says 8% milk. It is not 8% milk. It is only 5%, and hence it is not an ice cream. But look at these principles evolved by the courts. Common parlance understanding. You and me call it an ice cream. So what this product is commonly known in the market, it is an ice cream. And hence, court said this is nothing but an ice cream. Forget about what is contained in the Food Adulteration Act. It will not apply here. The common understanding of the product is ice cream. So sometimes common understanding also helps. It also helps in classification. What is this? Is it a cleaning agent or is it a disinfectant? Let us see. All of you have seen this in your house, isn't it? Is it a cleaning agent or a disinfectant? Please, a cleaning agent A, disinfectant B. Please answer. Cleaning agent, disinfectant. A, B, 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 A, disinfectant B, A. Okay, friends, let's see what is there in store for us. Damax power cleaner to be classified as a cleaning agent under 34 or disinfectant under 38. This is a decided case, friends. The product in this case are not sold as disinfectant, but sold as cleaning agent, which can also kill germs. HSN also provides that products having multiple use and are therefore primary classifiable in more than one heading are usually classified by application of General Interpretive Rule 3. The disinfecting, insecticidal, etc. properties of the product should not be subsidiary to any other function. The label and contents clearly show that product is being sold as a cleaning agent, which also kills germs. In fact, the label also says that it contains powerful hypo formula, which obviously is sodium hypochlorite. And I'm reproducing the words of the judgment to show that it can remove dirt and stains completely and also kills germs. The words also kills germs indicates that the main purpose of the product is cleaning and subsidiary purpose is killing germs, and hence it is a cleaning agent under chapter 34. Friends, having come to this and looking at this classification of services, look at the classification of service. Goods, we have just completed 6 rules. We go to classification of services. Services, it is not World Customs Organization. World Customs Organization deals only with goods and not services. The Services Code, India is one unique country which has borrowed the United Nations Services Code. Chapter 99 deals with services, and there are certain sections in the chapters. Please look into that. As I said, our discussion today is more limited to goods and not services, because services, as the scheme today stands, the rate of GST, which is more or less common, 18%, the confusions will arise when it is goods and not services. In services also, friends, Schedule 2 of the CGST Act becomes important, because Schedule 2 is what says what is goods and what is services. I'll give you one example. Way back, some 15 years back, 20 years back, if someone was trying to tell something. Okay. Some 15 to 20 years back, there's one chartered accountant who called me over phone and said, RK Bhai, there's a client of mine who is painting walls. Applying the paint. What is the service tax? I said, no, just painting the wall, there is no service. Okay, thank you very much. There's no tax on that. Thank you very much. He kept down the phone. Next day, he called me and said, sir, can you give me a written opinion? I said, okay, please, I'll give you. But please send your query to what it is. He sent the query along with the letter of the concerned person. And when I saw the letterhead, when I saw the query on the letterhead, I sent a reply, an opinion, saying that it is taxable. No sooner I sent the opinion that it is taxable, I got a phone call from the same CA saying that, sir, the other day you said not taxable, now you say taxable. I said, sir, please see what is the letterhead says. It says XYZ and Company, interior decorators. Interior decorators. So I said, sir, it is interior decorator and not a works contractor. Those days, works contracts were not in the levy of service tax. Prior to construction services, architects and interior decorators were levied to service tax and not works contractors. Works contractors came in 2005 only. Construction services were brought in the net from 2004 and 2005. 2004 commercial, 2005 residential. So you need to actually see what it is. When it comes to services, land is different from developed plot. Sale of land is different from sale of a developed plot. How you invoice will also decide what is the classification. Is it goods or is it a service? If it is land, then it is an immovable property. If it is developed plot, then how you are billing it? What is the components of an invoice will decide the applicability or the non-applicability of the GST. So these are the steps you should employ in classification of goods or services under GST. You should look into the definition of goods and services, which is there in the law. You should look into what is stated in the HSN code, the Customs Tariff Act. And when it comes to services, the Schedule 2 of the CGST Act and Schedule 3, which says something is neither goods nor a service and hence is kept outside the ambit itself. The composite supply and mixed supply, you have to look into the Customs Tariff Act Rule 2, Rule 3, and Rule 4 sometimes. Identify the code and then the rate from the notification. The principles of Customs Tariff Act, the rules of interpretation are sacrosanct, and the service code from the notification number 11/2017 when it comes to services. So these are the steps which you should employ when it comes to classifying goods or services and then ultimately finding the rate. So in sum and substance, what I would say is never answer a question on classification, never answer a question on rate of tax merely on telephone call or on a WhatsApp. Go deeper, understand, go deeper and understand. Okay. Tirupati Laddu, when it's given in the temple, when it's given in the premises of the temple, it is prasad. But when it's sold in a sweet shop, it is not a prasad, it is a sweet liable at GST, isn't it? So friends, we have come to almost the end of this presentation. In fact, I know classification just merely 1.5 to 2 hours is not sufficient. If we discuss classification chapter by chapter, section by section, it will run to almost 100 sessions, each chapter. This is one basic understanding which we have got today. And we have to proceed from here. We have to understand what more about classification, read more literature about classification, read more judgments about classification, and understand what courts have propounded about classification. Especially the example which I gave you, Vico turmeric, nahi cosmetic, Vico turmeric Ayurvedic cream. Thank you, friends. Now let us move to question and answers. This is my number and email ID. You can note it down. And if you have any queries, post also, you can always send me a WhatsApp message or an email ID. And as I told you, I will never answer immediately. I will ask you further questions. And if it involves a professional opinion, you and I have to do it. Because the client must know the importance that you attach to this particular rate is something extremely important. Now I'm going to give you an example. Just listen to me. Listen to me. It is about a few months back. It's about a few months back. A chartered accountant called me and said, "Sir, my client is a trader. Please be with me. My client is a trader." Very good. What is he doing? Sir, he is in retail selling flavored milk products by Avin, AAVIN. It is one of the companies in Tamil Nadu which sells milk and milk products. My client has received a notice that the flavored milk, which GST is charging at 5%, the department is asking him to pay 12%. Now, what is it? What is your doubt, sir? He said, "Sir, maybe 2 years back, he called me and he asked me, what is the rate?" I said, "You are a trader. You are a trader, isn't it?" "Yes." "Then you would have purchased this from some XYZ." "Yes, sir, I would have purchased." See the invoice. What is the rate in that invoice? You apply that rate. This is the advice I gave, sir. Very good. Now, when the department was given this answer, department said, "My friend, they are wrong. That is why you are wrong." Which means the department found that the company which was charging this GST rate was wrong, and hence the entire chain was wrong. Which means if you are giving an advice to someone, look at the purchase invoice and then charge the same rate. It may be wrong. It may be wrong. Because if A is wrong, the entire chain up to Z can also go wrong. So more into the rate and more into advising is necessary when it comes to the classification and the rates of GST on goods. I am now open to any questions, either on the Q&A. There's no Q&A. Okay, then there's only chat. Okay, on the chat box, or you can also ask if someone is, if you're allowed to unmute and speak. I mean, sweet meat, whether sold individually or in a packet, is charged at 5% or individually nil. Sir, I cannot answer this question. Aditya Maheshwari ji, as I said, we need to go into in detail. We need to find out what is the product, what the chapter notes say. Okay, and then only we'll be able to reach a conclusion. So more on this, with more details, if you can tell me, we'll be able to solve this answer for you and not immediately. Sir, Maharashtra advanced ruling decided laptop with carry bag classified separately because they have reopened the case of computer related dealers 2014-15 onward. Matter is in tribunal. Understanding from you, advanced ruling is wrong. Sir, you and I cannot say advanced ruling is wrong. Advanced ruling applies only to the person who has taken it, isn't it? Now, this dispute will arise. This dispute will arise. You and I have to deal with this and solve it. We have to go up to the highest court. There will be dispute. This is just one dispute you are telling. There will be many such disputes will arise with respect to classification. Example, this flavored milk, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, they have given X rate, but Karnataka has given Y rate. Which means out of 3 states, 2 states say the rate is X, 1 state says the rate is Y. So disputes will be there even between the states also. We should be ready for a long drawn practice. Who said that CS practices are diminishing? No, it is only growing. With GST it only grows. Someone said, sir, GST audit chala gaya, sab khatam ho gaya. Nahi, aapka asli kaam ab shuru hua hai. Once you did the audit, you are bound. You are bound. You have certified the rate. How can you certify the rate? Tomorrow the department says that no, this rate itself is wrong, and the department wins, and your audit report is wrong, isn't it? One second. Whether to refer any specific books for classification or schedule as per Customs Act is sufficient. No, Girish Maharuji, there's no book. No book. You must have Customs Tariff Act, decided cases, and if possible, by WCO's publication. Sale of gold watch. Someone is selling 10-15 minute hai. Sale of gold watch, mixed supply case, whether it's we consider gold sold or watch sold. Gold watch, articles of gold. It is gold, according to me. But then it can be watch also, isn't it? Because it is a watch. What is the principal commodity? It is a watch. So can you call it as article of gold or it is a watch? Go to the chapter which deals with articles of gold. Read that. You'll find it out yourself. Sir, in case of box sold at 12% but sold along with product lesser tax, refund not able to invert duty tax, how GST law is beneficial? In case of box sold at 12% but sold along with product lesser tax, no question of refund, sir. Are we certifying correctness of rating? Yes, you are. In 9C, yes, you are. You are certifying that the rate of tax applied is correct, isn't it? Look at the 9C report. Making building for project affected peoples come to metro related work. So, for giving contracts for making building, what is GST rate? I don't know, sir. You need to work on this more. Printed leaflet, packing material, artwork supplied by customer is goods or service. Printed leaflet. Paper also given by the client. He is printing and giving it. It must be a service because what is the intention? Please clarify if trading in medical devices, particularly relating to stem cell therapy, can be classified under 9018, chargeable 12%. Stem cell, plus I think there is one exemption relating to stem cell in the GST notification 12/2017. Please have a look at that. Where to get service accounting codes, whether it is covered in customs? No. Service codes are there in the notification 11. Difficult to convince GST office in the HS and SSC code, how to handle the same. It is a professional opportunity for you. Why you have to convince? You just give a reply and leave it at that. Let them come up with their arguments. Till tribunal you can represent, sir. And then there are advocates who can do it. Any other questions, sir? In fact,
Sir, I guess all the queries are answered. Sir, one more question from Ajit Ji Shah. Sir, you can read that, sir.
jewelry boxes prepared from different materials as acrylic, wood, art, paper, etc. are to be classified jewelry cases or articles of acrylic, articles of wood, etc. Sir, jewelry boxes sold along with jewelry, then they take the character of jewelry, not otherwise. Here, it is not along with jewelry, separately. Box manufacturer is separate, jewelry is separate. So when the box manufacturer is giving it to jeweler, it is not jewelry, it is a box. You go with that only. Okay. See, as the chairman of the GST Indirect Taxes Committee, I would tell you, I'll just spend 1 minute. There are numerous publications of our committee. We had come out with about 22 different publications, all small handbooks, trying to simplify wherever possible. And also our flagship publication, that is the background material on GST. All these are available for soft copies and downloads in our website. Please go and download it. You can find a small book of about 50 pages on e-way bill. E-way bill also, it's a small book. So anything on e-way bill, you can see there. Everything is available there. You can go and download and keep it in your library as soft copies, or on hard copies, you can always order through the CDS portal of the institute. So our committee is continuously there working for the benefit of members. We also work along with the government on various matters and issues.
Sir, one more question is from one of the members. That is there any respite wherein the seller has not paid the GST, and even though can the buyer get the ITC credit of that same, sir?
I think, sir, this is, I mean, of course, even though it is not this particular session, even though it is not a topic of this session.
Yes, sir, absolutely,
the question you are asking is, the supplier has not paid the tax. The recipient, can he take ITC? That is the question.
Yes, sir, absolutely, yes.
There's a question, there is one Madras High Court judgment which said that yes, he can take, but then I doubt whether that judgment will stand, because the act per se today has put the onus on the supplier and the recipient. In fact, prior to GST era, in the central excise, this provision was not there. The onus was on the manufacturer. If the manufacturer is not paid, department shall produce only against the manufacturer, not against the person who has taken the credit, sir. One. For a limited period of 3 months, this provision was there in the CENVAT credit rules. 3 months. After the industry raised hue and cry, they removed this provision. Which means that they very consciously have included it in GST, given the fact that registered persons will be more. So what the government is trying to say is, it is a contract between the supplier and the recipient, and I don't come in between. In fact, we have represented, many trade bodies have represented the government saying that this provision has to be deleted. But due to the pressures of various states, because this was there in their VAT law also, this provision continues to stand. And I have my own doubts whether there will be any respite from this particular provision. Now, GST has changed the mode, manner, and method in which businesses are done in this country. And this provision will also continue to change the relationship between the customer and the supplier. One more question, I think. In case a trader has followed margin scheme for second-hand goods sold by him, can he claim ITC in case of certain goods or assets purchased? Margin scheme for second-hand goods. That second-hand cars and all those stuff, I think it's a specific provision which is there. On the differential, tax has to be paid, and I don't think ITC will be available in that case. For specific items, but general items like telephones and all those stuff, businesses, I think ITC should be available. Of course, I don't have that ITC related provisions with me, so I will restrict myself to classification today because it's an ocean. It's an ocean, and you need to be very, very careful when you answer these questions because ultimately the effect is on gross and not on net, like income tax. Thank you very much, friends. I really enjoyed talking to each and every one of you. And this is my, I think the first time I'm coming to Andheri Oshiwara CP Study Circle. It's an honor to be in Mumbai along with all of you. And many of you participated also in today's discussion. And I enjoyed reading their answers also. I'm happy that you have been with me all along till now. Thank you very much. Over to you, Deepak ji.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, it was our privilege, our honor to hear from you, sir, to hear your experience, knowledge sharing. So thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And sir, before proceeding further, I want to make a small announcement is that the next meeting of Andheri Oshiwara Study Circle will be held on 30th May, Sunday, and the timings will be from 11 a.m. It will be not 10:30 a.m. but 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the topic will be the webinar will be on labor laws and the recent amendments in labor laws, and the speaker will be R.L. Soniji from Mumbai, and I request all the members to register in large numbers and take the learning. Yes, sir.
One suggestion I have.
Yes, sir.
In fact, on 30th May,
yes, sir,
the GST and Indirect Taxes Committee is going to have a VCM on supply and taxability questions and answers. Supply and taxability questions and answers. That's all. And I am going to handle that topic 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the same day.
Okay.
Same day. Now, of course, I know you also having the same. You are also having a program on labor laws.
Yes, sir.
If you can shift your time, because we cannot shift our time, our emails have gone.
Okay,
and,
sir.
It is a free program, but you have to, of course, register and then only you can participate. So if it is possible, I mean, I'm not telling you must do it. If it is
yes,
possible, maybe you can have 3 to 5 or 4 to 6, something like that. Your members will be benefited by this very important topic of supply and taxability questions and answers. So we'll be answering the questions of the members that day. I leave it to you, sir. I leave it to you. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, now, sir, in this case, what I will do is that I will try to coordinate with our speaker, and if any adjustments can be done, then we will definitely do it as per your instructions, sir. 100%.
Sir, it is no compulsion, sir. Please don't tell the Rajendra Kumar chairman told no compulsion. It is just a request.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 100%.
I'm not compelling you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. And now I request CS Sachin Verma ji to give a vote of thanks to Rajendra, sir.
I think he was the person who was answering the questions also.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you, Deepak ji. Thank you, Deepak ji, for giving me this opportunity. I would like to thank Rajendra sir or RK sir, like he's been called, for this wonderful session today. Okay. And sir, the way you started today's session with an example of milk, so it kind of set the brain cell working on the Sunday morning itself. Like it made clear that a single word or one line cannot answer the question. We have to have an approach where we need to separate the layers before answering or advising our clients or for any matter. So today's session, honestly, sir, I can say that it was a summary of your 25 plus years of experience in the field. And you made this complex topic so simple to understand, and that happens only when one has the passion towards the subject. And honestly, that's very inspiring. And I guess the participants would have also realized that if this session was conducted before their CA final IDT exams, they would have been sure that this 2-hour session would have been enough for them to answer any question on the classification part. Your PPT itself is a very strong study material.
But so, I never wrote an examination on indirect taxes, Verma ji. I have never been a student of India, just a practice, and my articleship days has helped me.
Right, sir. Right, sir. That can be understood. That the practical exposure and the examples also, the examples that you took on PPT was so smooth. It blended with the rules and rules of interpretation so easily. And people, I guess, they have already imprinted. Everything has been imprinted in their brain now. They will be getting the answers very organically. So, sir,
Sir, I'll ask one question, sir. One question, if you
Yes, sir.
permit me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dhoti, is it a ready-made garment or a fabric? A, B. Please answer dhoti. Dhoti, ready-made garment A, fabric B. Please answer.
Sir, okay.
Others are, you don't answer. Let them answer. Dhoti depends on you. Dhoti पहनने के लिए. So A, B. Okay. Sari. Wait.
It's a
Dhoti,
ready-made
okay.
garment. It's a ready-made garment.
Okay, now sari. Sari, you tell me. Sari is a fabric or a ready-made garment? Fabric A, ready-made garment B. Sari.
Sir,
Please.
it's a ready-made garment. It's a ready-made garment.
Sir, I will not answer this question.
Sir, now
Please
your
go
questions are bouncers.
Please go to the relevant
Interpretation.
chapter in the Customs Tariff Act. There is a decided case on dhoti, sir.
Okay.
I will not answer this question. Leave it to you for your homework.
Right.
You work on this because some of you may be having textile clients.
Right.
And don't get caught on the wrong foot if what your client is doing is not correct. Thank you very much. Please proceed, Varmaji.
So, just last line, like, it's like, thank you so much, sir, on behalf of Andheri Oshiwara Study Circle for today's session. It was indeed a very learning session, and definitely I felt like a student who is going through this such a wonderful session, and I've learned a lot from this session. Thank you so much, Atin, sir.
Thank you, sir. Jitendra Shahji is telling, sir, where is your office in Chennai, sir? I am a very small boy, sir. 95 I qualified. You are a CA of 1975 batch. My office is in Egmore, and of course my number is there. I can type it out here also. We can maybe interact on WhatsApp, or you can call me also. I would like to know where you did articles in Chennai, because someone doing articles in Chennai and going to Mumbai is there.
Sir,
Doing
Bombay आना होता
articles
है
in
sir?
Mumbai and coming. हाँ जी.
Sir, मैं बोला Bombay आना होता है sir? Are there any instances wherein you come to Mumbai for any
If
work
you
or?
call me, I will come, sir. If you call me, I will come, sir.
Sir,
Certainly.
definitely,
Right
sir, we will call you. But
let the lockdown open up and we'll be there meeting in person.
yes, 100%, sir, 100%.
Thank you very much, all. Looking forward to your call, Jitendra Bhai. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.